guys, it's Unity. They're a good company, right?
Unity for a decade. It hits every game
Totally.
made in that engine. And this last weekend, we saw Unity and other companies have to react fast. Games were pulled down from stores, projects were hurriedly patched, companies tried to convince users that they were in fact protected. But beyond the initial danger, beyond the surge of activity, we kind of need to think about the deeper problem that's just been revealed. Because for a lot of games, their continued existence now poses a threat to you. And to understand what that means, we've got to know what the threat itself is.
Afternoon,
First
Kelsey.
things first, though, for this story, there's no evidence this exploit was used by any bad actor. That is absolutely good news. And really, every party here seems to be acting responsibly to protect your games and your hardware. That's definitely good, and some are even going arguably beyond what's necessary. But to start, let's go back to the problem itself. In June 2025, a cybersecurity firm, GMO Flat Security Research, identified a vulnerability in the Unity engine. It's one that would only impact PC, Mac, Linux, and Android users, which is of course still many millions of people. It could potentially allow, though, for local code execution at the security level Unity was running. Meanwhile,
Top of morning! Fresh noises! Coca!
Top of morning!
Top of morning! Top of morning, sheep!
codes
God
could
damn
be
it, guys.
gathered from that application. The risk was rated as high, with a CVSS score of 8.4 out of 10. It's quite bad, and this vulnerability was present in Unity 2017.1. And that means it's been in every build of Unity for nearly a decade. So, here's the question. If it's been there for a decade, and if Unity have known since June, then why are we only finding out now? First thing, Unity didn't publicize this until they had already fixed the problem, and that happened on the 2nd of October. They'd also spoken to their platform partners to roll out solutions and customer protection tools. Now,
This is a
that
new
started
video
with
or an old video? New video. Apparently Unity had a vulnerability that popped up. Nothing happened as far as I'm aware. I did see a lot of games updating, saying they fixed a Unity like security hole.
patching all currently available versions of the Unity editor and providing a binary patcher to update any previously built project, which of course covers a huge number of projects. So now every affected project can have the vulnerability closed, and that means Unity can now openly talk about the problem and get ready for the next stage. That stage is warning users that they really have to listen to the developers who say, update your game. Because in theory, if people make the update,
Luckily, Steam automatically like queues the updates for me.
then this should be the end of the story, right? And really, everyone would have acted good.
As far as I know, every game that I've had that dealt with Unity has updated. I believe. I'm trying to think, any game. Well, does it matter if I don't have it downloaded? I guess I need to, like, check my old Unity games to make sure they're fine. Like, they've had a recent update. Basically, I won't be able to install some of my old Unity games unless they've had the update.
Unity were informed by a security consultant that there was a problem. They investigated, they addressed the problem, they only made the vulnerability public after it had been fixed. But you've seen the runtime of this video, it's not a YouTube short, and that means we've got to talk about what happened next and how the industry reacted, and how all of this ends up putting certain games in a very complex position. Some games have simply rolled out a patch, and with that, it's all basically done and fixed. That covers games like Among Us, Marvel Snap, No Rest for the Wicked, and loads that are already beyond the point of risk. That's great. Now, they announced that the users do need to download the patch for the security update ASAP, but here's the thing. Each one of those games is also a live service online title, so yeah, of course they can do an update fairly easily. Though for those kind of devs, there is some additional difficulty if your game's got anti-cheat or DRM tech. You'll need to
Wow. That's another strike against anti-cheat. If they have anti-cheat or something like that, they have to completely rebuild their project with the patch included.
To effectively rebuild and redeploy to avoid triggering problems. But they're also uniquely placed to make sure that users are protected with their latest build, because if you don't have the updated game, you can't play the game. And if you can't play the game, then there is no risk. So that should be good. As for developers currently building their games, well, they just need to update to the latest version of the engine. That's all good. Though they would have to deal with any bugs or problems that, come from updating to a new build of the engine. But some companies are being particularly zealous in their protections, especially when they're not constantly updating builds. Because that's the thing about games. Once you finish patching them, developers are meant to walk away and do other work. Now, well, it's a bit of a rough position, because leaving your old game alone will put users at risk. Unity...
Yeah, they have to go back and update some old games. I'm gonna have to look at the old games, make sure they've been updated.
Was very, very explicit here, and here's it in their own words. There is no need to pull games or applications off any platforms, but some companies are not in a position to roll out patches immediately, so even in spite of what Unity said, yeah, they're pulling games. And that's what led Microsoft, and especially Bethesda, to pull their games from sale until they can be sure that users can't be harmed. And that means Hearthstone, Wasteland 3, Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, and many others are being pulled from download as of the time of us doing this video. Some have been pulled and then put back up.
I didn't even notice that.
Or the original Pillars of Eternity. It's simply a question of how fast someone can get these updated across all platforms. But part of the problem here is also Unity's ubiquity. Of course, it's used for more than just games. Even the digital art books for Avowed and Grounded 2 are actually running on Unity, even though those games are made, I believe, in Unreal. So now those need to be patched as well. So this has meant that across the industry, there are people going down lists of games trying to get this fixed, get builds deployed, because, well, if a game is not updated, it is an actual risk to users. That can include games that are on your computer right now. Obviously, companies cannot have that, especially when they possess the tools to fix the problem. And of course, they can't risk being...
Well, for those of you who are wondering why they didn't announce it until after they fixed it, very simple answer. They didn't want anyone exploiting it while they were fixing it. Not the sus game? No, that one was fixed almost immediately.
Danger to their users. But here's some of the good news, because from
Among
the
Us
side
was
of the
fixed almost
user,
immediately.
well, it turns out the platforms are actually stepping up. So Microsoft have updated Windows Defender, Android has got a built-in scanner in their store, and Steam just released a client update for users. And the good news is these effectively protect users and platforms from any game that has not yet been patched. As an example, the Steam update will scan a game on startup for certain command line parameters, the ones that Unity warned them about, and if it finds them in a game that you're launching, you'll get a pop-up window warning you that the game may put you at risk. But that leads to a question.
Well, that's
what if a game
nice.
never gets updated? Some games will simply not survive this vulnerability. Maybe they don't have active development teams, maybe they're old. I mean, for Microsoft alone, games like Gears Pop, Mighty Doom, and Elder Scrolls Legends are going down because, well, there's nobody working on those games to actually run the update. So they're just gone from sale entirely. And that's actually where the real danger is. You see, for all the faults of Unity, its greatest strength was approachability. It was accessible for devs at many skill levels. It could be used for many projects. And that now means every project released since 2017 could be a threat vector. Unless, of course, the original dev, or at least somebody, is around to update the damn thing. Now that means that abandonware made in Unity after 2017 is now something you could have to be careful with. And that could mean a lot of games. I mean, think about how many studios that we have covered on this channel that have closed since 2020, even ones with really good games. Those games likely can't be updated. Even beyond that, how many companies have laid off teams and slimmed down where, the ability and the knowledge required to do the patching could just be gone? I mean, just think about every game in itch.io that was put together by students or hobbyists who have long since moved on and forgotten their logins. And of course, so far we've been mostly talking about PC rather than, say, Android, where there are simply more games, all of which may face the same problems. And it at least seems the Android side...
He's right, though. Like, all the games that aren't going to get updated, you probably just can't play them anymore. Or someone will have to come along and, patch them
things can't be fixed
after the
that
fact.
easily. Now, on a systemic level, Apple's App Store does actually have a policy that would help out here.
Oh
where
yeah, we're not
it
worried about
removes
Microsoft
apps
games.
that haven't been
They'll
updated
get
for 2 or
updated.
more years, which basically would mean users would
Microsoft
eventually be
can't
protected from
have
a
that.
legacy security problem like this. But you know, sure, there are some security benefits, but it also does mean the developers can't just be, you know, done with a project, and culturally, that could be a lot more damaging. Is purging out an entire library every few years really the right answer? Especially thinking about preservation, I'm going to err on the side of no, and that's especially if we extrapolate out from one of the industry's defining trends right now, which of course is, well, stuff kind of going to shit, and companies closing down and no longer being able to support games. A good way to think about this is in context of the industry shift away from bespoke engines to just using off-the-shelf technology, which in many ways has been a good thing. But on the other hand, everyone is complaining about stuttering issues caused by the adoption of Unreal Engine 5. I know, Tim Sweeney just replies to that saying, Lamau skill issue. And he does actually have a point. A lot of that can actually be fixed. It's just that games come out too damn early before they're properly optimized. But as the industry is homogenizing around common tooling, well, there's a lot of good stuff that we get. Shared experience, right? People working in the same tools across different companies. That's good for standardized knowledge. It's good for hiring. But it does also mean every project being worked on is only as resilient as the people who made the tools that project is built with. And today's story is just one example of that. If you are, say, in the development space, you probably know about the NPM vulnerability about like 3 or so weeks ago. That was another big example of like tens of millions of people use NPM. It's a JavaScript package manager. But yeah, there's a vulnerability in that, which basically just hit everyone. And
yeah, but for those like, long story short, most games are not affected. Just old games that aren't being worked on anymore, made after 2017. Worry about those. Check your Steam updater list. I think I'm good. I believe. Yeah, none of the games I have installed are in danger. I'm actually surprised. They've already updated. Well, there's one that hasn't updated. That is somehow still installed. And that would be Oblivion. Huh. Weird.
I was born 87 years.
Weird. Weird. I guess I won't play Oblivion for a little bit. I was planning on playing it again.
well,
I guess I'll put it on hold until I see an
common
update
tools,
pop up.
this is the sort of thing that we've got to deal with. It's a good thing then that we've got security researchers, we've got security consultancy firms like the ones, you know, the white hats who brought this to Unity, where it was all dealt with properly, such that now the vulnerability, yes, it is known about, but we've also got the tools to fix it. And with that said, we're at the end of the video. The good news is I've got another one for you. It is essentially the StarCraft 2 revival.
Well, thank you, Bellular.
Thank you
for letting us know and giving us knowledge.
You can learn about how Frost Giant and ex-Blizzard team is very much having struggles in this video.
At least this is a good news. Well, bad news, but good news situation. Yeah, they had a security vulnerability, but it was one that they didn't know about, that they got warned about, and they're like, oh, fix. So, well, that's good. Good and bad? I'd have to look at, I'd have to like find a full list of games that are affected to really know how bad / good this is. Obviously, it's going to be bad for the games that can't be updated, but it looks like most of those games aren't played anymore. At least currently, I don't know for sure.
Lizard.
But anyways, that was Bellular. And that was wonderful. Ledgering drops. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
What am I even supposed to say about this game? Even if you're not into Pokemon, this video is going to be really interesting because Pokemon Legends ZA is the laziest AAA game
Like, it's super lazy.
I'm good while I drink my homemade coffee.
I've ever seen. The best word to be able to describe it is transactional, because that's what the experience feels like. The game has some high points, we'll talk about that, but they phoned it in so hard, knowing that their audience would not only buy it, but stand around and defend it. We're talking about a $70 game that has copy-pasted assets, half-finished animations, talking animations with no voice acting for some odd reason. I don't know why anybody greenlit that. The game is just so lifeless. And as somebody who hasn't played these games since Black and White, what happened to the monster designs?
That's what I'm saying. You can say all you want about Arceus being like the defense for Arceus was it was a new step. And they they were experimenting. And so some of the stuff was gonna be scuff as heck. No defense here. No defense.
The amount of money that
It's one city. The whole city itself is one model. That's what's scary. That's how little they did.
have invested into this franchise just makes it all the more disgusting. It's not what this game specifically is, it's about how much they're charging for it and what this franchise actually should be, the kind of games that they should be making. You know, I grew up on Pokemon. I loved it when I was a kid. You know, as proof, I got them around here somewhere. Here you go. Yeah. I have gym badges from when I was a little kid and I used to play in local card shops. Things are old as all hell. I loved it. And I'm so happy that that little kid never grew up to see what this franchise turned into. This is the most popular media franchise in the history of Earth. They make...
That's what's crazy. Pokemon is like the biggest franchise, like, ever. I'm pretty sure. I'm like trying to think if there's something bigger, but there's not. At least nothing's coming to mind. And they get so much money from this franchise, yet I think they probably spent less than $20 million. They super phoned it in.
more money than 145 countries do their GDP. By all accounts, these should be the best games ever made, and there's no challenger whatsoever. But that's just not what these games are. And it goes to show that even when these companies are successful, even when you give them your support, even when you give them your money, the minimum viable product is still the target. So today I want to talk about my experience playing Pokemon Legends ZA. I want to talk about the depths of greed they reach that I didn't even think were possible, and showcase how indie games and even their own games are making these games look foolish. Also, I want to talk about how little time Pokemon has left, because the average age of their audience is 32 years old. That's not good. But before that, a word from today's sponsor, and this one's...
Wait, the average age is... Huh? Yeah, too busy suing and taking out patents on
a little
rubbish.
bit of a different one. It's from D-Brand and their Kill Switch case for the Switch 2. I absolutely love this thing. I have a really bad track record when it comes to handhelds. This case is insanely form factor. It feels like the entire thing just came out of the box this way.
No.
The protective shell, the impact casing actually lets you store games inside of it. The grips on the side feel absolutely fantastic. What I love is that it doesn't make the thing feel bulky. And that's what a lot of other cases do. I cannot recommend this thing enough. The Joy-Con detachment issue that popped up earlier on, fixed. Every affected customer has already been sent a free replacement, and this newest batch is their best version yet, and it's in stock and shipping immediately. It's got ergonomic grips that feel absolutely comfortable in the hands, works perfectly with the kickstand and dock, and the transparent cover doubles as a display for your game collection, which is a nice touch. So if you were waiting for these to come back, it's available now. Hit the link in the
That one's
description,
old.
comment, and grab yours today. Pokemon meant a lot to me. I collected the cards, played in tournaments, woke up early to watch the anime before school. I still remember...
You know what the most depressing thing is? I think they purposely made the megas bad. I think they went out of their way to make them bad so no one would ask for them again.
Remember sitting in the backseat of my
I also
mom's car
found
just
out
after she
today
got
that my
off
dad
work,
is in
waiting for the
Pokemon.
street lights to pass so I could get another look at
Cool.
the screen of my Game Boy for just a second. Pokemon was how I made friends. It was genius marketing on the side of these guys. 2 versions of the same game, exclusive Pokemon in each, evolutions that only happened through training. It forced you to go out and meet people, and for me, it worked. Without Pokemon, I probably wouldn't have evolved into the social butterfly I am today, and honestly, we probably wouldn't even be talking right now, but Pokemon also opened the door to the rest of the genre for me. It led me to games like Golden Sun, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Grandia 2, games that showed me what RPGs could be, and as I played those games, I drifted away from Pokemon. You could say that it was just me growing up, but that's not really true because I didn't stop liking Pokemon. I stopped because those games were giving me something that Pokemon never did. They kept evolving. More customization, more unique art direction, deeper combat systems, stronger narratives, while Pokemon just stayed the exact same. Now here I am all these years later watching the same franchise that I grew up with turn into a social media war zone. Every single time somebody tries to criticize the game, a half a dozen self-appointed defenders come out swinging, calling it grifting, misinformation, or some...
Yeah, look at that. That one city is one model. Not one of those buildings has its own model.
Explanation. In Pokemon Czar, one of the characters has a design that heavily resembles my father. I shared it with him and he agrees.
Oh, that's nice.
coordinated smear campaign against the...
Should we go out of our way to attack the people that defend it? No. But some of these people are just delusional.
Pokemon company. It's just so stupid. Meanwhile, the games journalists that have been screaming about toxic fandoms are the ones that are definitionally grifting, pumping out headlines like, it's official, Pokemon beats Digimon, then 5 days later posting, Digimon Time Strangers officially beats Pokemon. It's embarrassing. So I just...
What's hilarious is that's the same guy. If you look at the person that wrote it, it's the same guy. Man isn't, like, fence sitting. He's in both yards.
decided to cut through all the noise and just play the game myself. The best
Which,
word that
like, he's just trying to make money. I don't blame him. Is for loading times? No. No, here's the thing. There are ways you can make that work with multiple models. But they did the bare minimum.
I can use to describe this game is transactional. It's just going through the motions.
You're right, Lachlan. He probably used ChatGPT.
It's about as entertaining as walking up to a
I haven't
cash
seen a
register
good
and getting checked out, which makes a lot of sense.
journalist
because
in a
that's the
while.
only thing that Nintendo is actually interested in. The lack of voice acting in this game is what really does it in. This is so bad. They should just use static images. You have full cinematic scenes, lips moving, dramatic gestures, not a single spoken word. You hear abilities that are going off, footsteps echoing, and other sound effects, everything other than the characters themselves. It is so jarring. It's so awkward, and it kills any tension the story's trying to build or emotion that they're trying to convey, and we know why it's like this. Voice acting costs money, it takes time, it requires effort, and those are three things that Nintendo refuses to give this franchise. I think the world of this game is a perfect reflection of its creators.
For
Lifeless,
Pokemon to
bland,
succeed,
corporate,
the avatars
exploration...
need to be hotter, nice buns and B-cup bobbers with short, tiny skirts, crop tops showing under boob and thong undies.
feels pointless.
I don't think they
It's
need to
either
do that.
empty corridors or weird scaffolding sections that are pretending
But they
to be
definitely need to
platforming.
try
You can't
harder.
even climb something that is knee high. Instead, you're dodge rolling off of ledges, which I swear they're trying to emulate from Elden Ring, but they just butchered it in the process. The platforms are tiny, the movement is clunky, and everything just feels wrong. The city itself, what were you guys thinking?
You wanna know the crazy part
I
is? You
scientifically agree with this, but this is after all a kid's game.
tell me it would not work. It would probably work, but it kind of destroyed the whole aspect of what Pokemon is as its core. But what's hilarious is you can't jump in this game, guys. And they have platforming.
You have to use the map, otherwise you're going to get lost instantly because everything looks the same. It's the same streets, the same shops, the same windows, the same buildings, copy and pasted across the entire thing. It's a city with about as much identity as the repetitive fat guy NPC you keep popping into alleyways. And for a place that's supposed to be inspired by Paris, there is none of that blend of old and new architecture. Just everything blends together.
It's
None of
supposed to be Paris, by the way. If you look at this Lumio City, and then you look at the Pokemon Y and X Lumio City, one clearly has done better.
charm in contrast. It's just a sterile grid of assets dropped into place by a team that is clear.
Well, that's the average. There's still younger kids that play this game. Alan. And at its core, Pokemon has always been kind of a PG-13 game. So it would kind of, like, take some doing to, like, go into that direction. Do I disagree with you completely? No. You're right. It would definitely sell more. But at its essence, they just need to try harder. Because they're going the opposite way of what people wanted them to go. They're trying less and less when people are like, just try more. Most of the player base for Pokemon is in the mid-20s. Mid-20s, I think, is more accurate.
The art direction in this game? Is it in the room with us? It doesn't even reflect its own
Dr.
franchise
Peppa!
anymore. There's no consistency with the anime, no tie-in with the trading cards, no
Pokemon
visually
is the
distinct
single
language.
largest
It's just
IP on the entire planet, and yet they cannot afford any voice acting. Feels like since all the scalpers keep buying cards, they make more money off.
That rather than the games, and thus do not
I'm
care
going
about the
to
quality.
say the Pokemon City map was very empty. Not all NPC appear, I think.
Howdy, hi, mysterious virtuoso. Definitely, definitely, the scalpers are probably part of the issue. They're making so much money from the cards, and the cards prices have gone up. The scalpers still buy them. I wish people could just, like, stop ruining kids' stuff. The cards are meant to be for the kids. Kids love those cards. And you're scalping them to sell them. I don't even think Raylu does that, and she owns a card shop. Like, that shows you how, like, scummy you have to be to do this.
Solution: stop making cards.
They won't, Doctor. Like, it makes them money. Why would they stop? Especially not the card shop.
beige and gray. It's here's a video game, I guess. That's the best way for me to be able to describe it. It's so...
To give you an idea, there's only one card I really want anymore. And that's for a magic card, and that's Baneslayer.
Shifted out of existence.
I've always wanted one of those custom art Baneslayers. Baneslayer Angels. And I love, like, the Greek format, the Greek stuff.
generic looking, especially when
I would do a
compare it to some
magic
of the
box
other
opening.
anime-inspired games that we've seen
On
over
stream,
the
I
years,
would
like the
totally
Tales
do that.
games, Xenoblade Chronicles, Digimon Time Strangers.
But I'm not
as an
spending
example.
how much
Indie
money
games are putting
it
way
costs
more effort
anymore.
into their visual expression. Hades, Hollow Knight, Cassette Beast, all these things ooze with personality. Legend ZA looks like it was made in a corporate lab. Now, I will give them this. I do actually like the direction they're going in with the new battle system. It's faster, more dynamic. It reminds me a lot of Power World. You can chain moves together. You actually have to think about move speed and range. It feels pretty good, and I really like the touch of being able to use AoE attacks on groups of monsters when you're farming. The mega battles, those are cool in concept, but the entire thing just feels half-finished. You're supposed to dodge attacks, pick up orbs, reposition.
The issue, he'll probably mention this, is the Pokemon only attacks you. Completely ignores the other Pokemon. Like, if it was a mix of both, where, like, it focused on you, but it would still attack your Mon, maybe. When Pokemon is more expensive hobby than tabletop Warhammer MTG, that is what's scary. MTG has gotten kind of bad, too, because of the scalpers. But not nearly as much as Pokemon.
And then time your mega evolution, but the whole thing just collapses under its own control. So you have to exit the targeting and skills menu so that you can dodge, which turns every single fight into this clumsy dance of just running around in circles while your Pokemon does nothing and you just struggle to retarget the enemy. There are just so many unfinished ideas here, and they feel like they're painted over the entire game, and it just makes the entire experience feel like it's indifferent. Like there's just a lack of care, and that lack of care is a slap in the face for anybody who has been supporting this franchise for decades. Is Legends EA the worst game that I've ever played? No, but given what Pokemon is, what it represents, and how much money it makes, it might be the most...
He's right. Given what it represents, given how much they make, just off the cards, off all the toys, off the games themselves, you should be going all out. Because if you went all out, you'd make way more money. And you'd have, like, way more defenders. It's bad when even your defenders are starting to not defend you. That's when you know you're not trying. You're not doing a crap thing.
Insulting. I don't even think this is just laziness. I feel
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they were like, let's make a mobile game. Because this would probably be able to run on a phone.
like it's more exploitation than anything else. Like,
cheap to make, and yet people charge a ridiculous amount of money. This is not just a problem. This is global economy breaking.
Well, the issue is it's kind of built into the card system where, like, some cards are super rare, but, like, that's the idea. They want you to buy more packs. But somehow, instead of that, it's gone to the point where people just sell the card itself when they find it. To the people that either really want it because they like that mon, or they want it because it's, like, a really good index. And
squeeze
stuff.
every last drop from the fans that are still showing up no matter what. You know, in 2024 alone, the Pokemon Company grossed over $12 billion.
$12 billion. You're in the top 10 global licensors with one. Realize that the only reason Disney and these other people are above Pokemon is they have multiple different IPs. Pokemon has one IP. One. If we scrapped all the ones that were using multiple IPs to get up there, Pokemon would probably be number one.
Lifetime, over 100 billion. They are the most...
Look at that. Just Pokemon is beating all of the individual things from that Disney has.
Profitable media franchise in history, and according to leaks from a former Nintendo employee, Legends EA had a budget of just $13 million.
$13 million. To put that in perspective, that's lower than some indie games. And we're talking about, like, indie games that were pixels. Like, they focus on the 16-bit pixels thing. And it used less money than them.
13. For context, that is what most indie AA productions use. And this is the flagship entry for the biggest entertainment property on planet Earth.
To be fair, I will say one thing is in defense of the devs. A large part of the problem is how the IP holders push the publishing. aka they need new mods every year, so there has to be a new game. Here's the issue with that, Walk-On. And like people that like criticize it have a very good point in that. And like I agreed the second I found out about this. They absolutely refuse to acknowledge any fans' creation. They refuse. They will not pay them like a little tiny bit of money to use their design. They will not even ask. It probably is that. It's no money in the games, it's all in the merch. I feel like Pokemon would make a lot more money if they changed it to, instead of splitting up the games, just make Pokemon Platinum every year, basically. Not the actual game Platinum, but like combine both games, make it the best it could possibly be. And people would be like, holy crap, Gold Mine Pokemon this year. Like, you could do it every other year. You could have 2 of the games that are split off and have like their differences. And then the next year, you can wait a year or more even and release the combined like a mega game. Because they stopped doing that, and that's what made them a lot of money, was like Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Emerald. Like the games that combined everything and like... It's more the Japanese mentality. All of them despise mods. They despise mods, but what's worse is they despise fans. How dare you create something in my world?
More games need to have a catch them all system, then Pokemon will suffer.
That's what's the issue, is their leader right now is a banker. And money go up faster is the only thing they think of. Like, why? Didn't you see how Pokemon succeeded all these years? Where it was a slow, like, they would change things. Each like iteration would have something new in it. Like, was it was it like enough? No, but it was making money. You didn't even try this time. I guess the new battle system, but that's half-baked.
Now, if you guys have watched this channel for any length of time, you guys already know that I want these studios to spend less money. That photorealism, hair physics, and marketing budgets do not make better games, but this...
Yeah, we don't need that.
They do not. Once someone has success, they forget what got them there in the first place, forgetting their vision.
Here's the issue. Iwata didn't forget. It's this banker. He don't know anything about Pokemon. He don't know anything about the actual success. He just know, I make more money this way. Even though I make money this way, it's not that important to me. I want all this money. So let's push this out and keep focusing on this. And what's sad is the Pokemon phone game, like the card game, is terrible now. It's like trash. Like at first it was getting pretty good. Oh, hi Shizu.
Thank you.
Okay.
Shizuka_Loomis just became a kobold. Emergency food, yay. Okay, fine, Twitch. Let me just watch without you blaring this to me.
You got harassed by Twitch to sub to me again.
Guys, this is just neglect. They're not saving money because they're smart. Well, I mean, they are, because they know that
just let me know next time, Shizu. I'll give you a free subby.
Still going to keep buying the stuff anyway, but they're saving money because they don't care. And that's what makes it so disgusting. It's just a complete absence of respect for the audience that made them. I mean, it's not like spending money would magically fix Pokemon's problems. I understand that. It definitely wouldn't, but it would at least show they cared enough to try. We live in a time in which games like Expedition 33, a debut project from a small studio, cost, in the words of Sandfall's CEO, less than Mirror's Edge, which means that's somewhere between $15 and $25 million, and that game was stunning, so I don't care what...
You see that? 15 and 25 million. Not that much more than them. Way better looking. Way better looking. Way more stuff. Bigger world.
Anybody says Expedition 33 is one of the best games that I've played in the last
Oh,
decade.
3
It stands
months.
shoulder to
Thank
shoulder
you,
with games
Shizu.
like Elden Ring, Black Myth Wukong, and Baldur's Gate 3 in terms of impact.
Japanese are weird. Case in point, what GOG had to convince Capcom to let them release the classics Resident Evil. They initially at the beginning did not want because they knew their
GOG proved them wrong. Yeah. That reminds me, I did want to text Mom because I really do want to get these games. I've been trying to tell Mom. I've been trying to get my Amazon, her Prime activated back on the account, and she's like just been. To be fair, she's busy, but yeah.
That game redefined turn-based combat for the modern era. Its music, story, its art direction, all.
It's amazing. I want to play it more. The only reason we haven't played it more is like the memory issue. I need to stop being lazy and like reactivate it.
Distinct, cohesive, and unforgettable. That's what happens when a team actually gives a damn about what they're making. The money
How am I
doesn't
still
really
standing
matter
with
in
Twitch
that
with that
case.
tag? What tag? Is there a tag? What tag do I have? Oh, stabs. Yeah.
From where
That
I'm
might
standing,
be affecting
Nintendo
me
and
a little
Game
bit.
Freak clearly don't, and I think it's obvious. People seem to have already forgotten that Game Freak announced
It was
Beast
just a
of
joke tag that I put for
Reincarnation, a
one stream and I
third-person
forgot about
action
it.
RPG that's coming out next year, and that game looks gorgeous. The creature designs, the art direction, the atmosphere, it all looks leagues ahead of what they've been doing with
This is same company though. This game right here that looks amazing, same company.
Pokemon for years, so it's not that that studio lacks talent, it's just that the resources aren't there and the passion isn't either. I think what we're seeing right
I don't even think it's a passion thing. It's quite literally they're not being allowed. They're like, no, push out, push out, push out, push out, push out. The Irish won't. Oi!
now is rot on two ends. On one side, you have Nintendo and the Pokemon Company that are deliberately funneling resources away from the games, maximizing profit, minimizing effort, keeping investors fat while their product is withering. On the other side, Game Freak, they just look exhausted. Whether it's burnout, low budgets, or 30 years of making the exact same game with a different name, they're done. And I think it shows. Every texture, every animation, every half-hearted mechanic just radiates with, we don't have the money to do it, and honestly, we don't care. At this point, I think it's really hard for me to call this creative failure because it just feels like policy, a calculated decision.
Wait, the mods don't evolve until you tell them to now. That's scuff. Evolving has always been like I'm powerful now. Blam. It's not a you evolve.
Boca, opinion on craft and announcement.
I'll look at it.
Decision
I
to
haven't seen it.
do
I
less,
just woke
spend
up.
less, and give less because the brand alone is going
Second
to
I
sell
woke
it.
up, I got
Pokemon
prepared for
isn't
streaming
a
and
game
started.
anymore. It's a machine that exists just to move merchandise, to sell cards, to sell plushies under the illusion of a new adventure every few years. And
Yeah, I think everyone's right that this is literally just for the cards now.
the worst part is they know exactly what they're doing. They know that the name alone guarantees profit, at least for now, and they know that critics will be drowned out by nostalgia, or they're just going to
going
get
AI
bought into it
first.
just the same. They know that the lowest effort imaginable
I have opinions on that. We'll see. We'll look
is
at this.
still just gonna generate billions. This goes to show just how little you can trust these companies and how little they think of you and your support of them. You know, playing the game even just for a few minutes, you can quickly realize just how little care is in there for the quality of the experience or the value of the experience and what it's delivering.
That was a system in Legends Arceus as well. The system was set up that way that if you enter the evolution animation out in the wild, you could be attacked and killed.
To you, and that's because these guys feel untouchable. You're just a wallet to be drained to them, and I think this is just what happens when a company goes largely unopposed and uncriticized. And for them, you know, whether it's their legal team or their defenders, these guys are very, very well insulated. You know, for the 2 years now that I've been on YouTube, I have avoided talking about this franchise like the plague, partially because of how much it meant to me as a kid. Watching it decline over the years really isn't something that I want to dwell on all that much, but also because of how terminal the most extreme corners of the Nintendo and Pokemon fandom are. These guys do not want to listen to what you have to say. They are going to just shove it off in a corner as quickly as they possibly.
I used to defend Pokemon. Absolutely. Nope. Can't do it. Can't do it. Especially with this new game.
You mix the two of these groups together and you're likely to have somebody try to bludgeon you to death with a Vaporeon body pillow. That actually sounds far more disgusting than what I would have thought. Look, I can understand how you're having fun with the game. I really can.
Yeah.
Turn your brain off and it's really not.
Like, no one hates you for enjoying your game. They're mad at Nintendo for not trying to make it better. Really, we're mad for you. Because we would love to enjoy Pokemon. We love the old games. And we're just disappointed and unhappy with the way Nintendo just treats you like crap.
That bad of an experience, but thinking about it critically for even just a minute.
Because they should be doing their utmost for you. For like the big, super... Yeah, we miss the soul. The soul's not there anymore. It's a husk being paraded around.
Did you know that according to human and Pokemon anatomy compatibility, Vaporeon...
No.
And the
don't
entire
say it.
thing just folds upon itself.
Did you know there's actually a Pokemon that's better suited? I'll leave that knowledge with you.
And you quickly see just how much the customer is being taken advantage of, how they're being exploited. And when you have a company that makes this much money, when you have a franchise that makes this money and has been around as long as them, it's just disgusting. It's perverse in a way that I don't think anything else in the industry emulates. Call of Duty, maybe? That's terrible company to be in. You know, I can't talk about how this game is going to fail because it's obviously not going to. They're going to make a ton of money off of it. And for the people that like Pokemon...
They will make a lot of money on it.
Congratulations. Just like that you confirmed how freaky you are.
No, it's because someone told me. Someone explained to me another Mon. And I was like, why? But now I have this cursed knowledge. You want to know the funny part? I forgot what Mon it is. I just know there's a better one.
Or love Pokemon, it's serviceable, it's fun, they're going to enjoy it. And even I fell into that trap for a couple of minutes. I sat back for a while, I was like, well, you know, actually, this really isn't all that bad. And then I was like, this is $70! Baldur's Gate 3 was $60! Elden Ring was $60!
And they were massively better.
Black Myth Wukong was $60! Expedition 33 was $50! No matter which way you cut it, this game is a ripoff, and they're going to pay for it. I don't even think half of the complaints around this game would even exist if it wasn't $70 or $100 if you want to count the day one DLC, the same DLC that paywalls the end game and even some of the monster evolutions. That part still blows my mind. Announcing a paid DLC before the game even launches is bad enough, but locking evolution, the literal mechanic and thematic identity of Pokemon behind a paywall, that is another level of...
That was like kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. When I found out that they were hiding some of the newest evolutions behind a paywall. Not even just one paywall, but two. Two paywalls.
Agreed, and it's the kind of decision that tells you everything you need to know about how limitless this company's appetite has become. And for a game that doesn't even deserve to be $70 in the first place, that's insulting. Explain to me how a game that looks and plays worse than most indie titles from the past decade somehow is worthy of a premium price. You could buy 5 of the best indie games released in the last 2 years and it still wouldn't cost you as much as this one does. The math doesn't lie here. You are paying a premium AAA price for an experience that wouldn't even pass as early access in most cases. I mean, look at Digimon Time Stranger for an example, a game that launched just before Legend ZA and frankly puts the game to shame. I've been playing it for weeks, and while I don't even think that the game fully earns a $70 price tag either,
I want to play with Leomon and Brachial Leomon!
At least that game has a debate to be had. Its narrative, music, world design, and voice acting, minus the weird decision to not voice the main character. I don't understand why people do this, but it all feels deliberate.
I can understand the not voice the main character because they kind of want you to like put yourself in the main character, which I can understand that. Like they want you to feel more connected to your main character.
Well crafted. The monster raising mechanics go really deep. The quality of life features feel modern. You can actually feel like the team cared. Now, I'll admit that the combat in Time Stranger isn't perfect. That old school, fully turn-based style is just kind of turning into auto-battler territory now. 90% of it is just grinding, but it's still engaging enough to keep you playing, and more importantly, it feels like a finished game, and I feel like that's the difference here. When you look at Time Stranger, you can at least argue the value, but when you look at Pokemon Legends ZA, there is no argument. It's not even close. This whole thing just feels like a luxury tax on loyalty. That's what it is. It's a penalty for caring too much, for enjoying something a little bit too much, for all the flack that they threw at Palworld, the lawsuits, the patent drama, the media hit pieces. God, those guys really did not like that game, but at least that game, in almost every way, feels like a much stronger experience, and it cost $30. $30. You were free in that game. You could explore massive areas, mechanics that went way beyond creature collection and combat, seamless co-op and multi-platform support, the kind of features Nintendo should have been delivering years ago. Say what you will about Palworld, but at least that game respected your time.
Palworld respected your time. It respected your investment. Pokemon does neither.
Time and your money. Meanwhile, Nintendo has been getting away with just selling your childhood back to you for decades at full price. And honestly, the most frustrating part is that Pokemon isn't even unique in this. It's just the most obvious example of what's been happening to every major franchise. Most of these guys started the same way, small, passionate, and honest about what they wanted to be. But the longer that we stayed loyal to them,
didn't respect PAL labor though. I don't really use them as labor that much. Like, I'm like, you can rest now. I wish there was a way you could get them to like just chill.
They have taken from us. They first cut content and sold it back to us as DLC. Then they started shipping broken games and monetizing those fixes with microtransactions. Then came the price hikes, the deluxe editions, the battle passes, and through all of it, the focus quietly shifted away from making something fun or interesting into just extracting as much value from the customer as possible. You can see this going on everywhere right now. Call of Duty hasn't had an original idea in years. Halo lost its identity with its studio. Dragon Age is probably dead by now. Mass Effect's probably going to go along with it. Assassin's Creed has turned into historical tourism with a battle pass and social messaging. Ubisoft's entire catalog just feels like a corporate template that's just been copy and pasted all over the place. And it's not just games, it's the whole entertainment industry. Every single movie, TV show, or whatever else is just a remake or reboot. Every comic universe has been force-fed into the ground, and none of this stuff is being made for us anymore. These companies are not thinking about creativity or fatigue or how these people are supposed to be paying for all this. These guys are just so well insulated that they can't even see the inevitable collapse that's coming, because while nostalgia might keep some...
I don't think the next Pokemon game is going to do nearly as well. I think
most of that is American.
Unless they go really out, like off the walls amazing with the next Pokemon, it's gonna fail terribly, because apparently this one's already failing. Like it may have made some money, but apparently it dropped off by like 50% in the second week, which is terrible for a game like this.
Some of these older audiences buying in for a while, it's just not sustainable. Younger generations do not have that same emotional attachment. The warning signs have been flashing for nearly a decade, but none of these guys at the top seem to care. Back in 2017, right after the release of Sun and Moon, Nintendo said at their financial briefing that Pokemon fans were older than ever. Most of their sales were coming from players in their 20s and 30s. Fast forward 8 years later, Gem Partners surveyed Japanese audiences and found that the average Pokemon player is now 32. 32. 32. For a series that is supposed to be aimed at 5 and 12-year-olds. That number should terrify them because...
It should terrify them because it shows that they're not even, like, doing good. Literally, they're just living off of nostalgia right now.
Audience stops being replaced by new players, the clock starts ticking. How do none of these guys realize how quickly they are running out of time? You could only live off nostalgia for so long before it turns into a mausoleum, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Not just with Nintendo, but with a lot of these massive entrenched publishers and how they're operating, and a lot of other businesses, because actually it's starting to make me think I want to talk about other things outside of gaming at some point, because this problem is not unique to games. It's everywhere right now. There is this generation of executives and boardroom lifers that seem obsessed.
I think a lot of executives and a lot of companies failed upwards. They started out as marketers, and they failed upwards. Because some of them don't seem to know what the hell they're doing. Other ones are just there for the golden parachute. And then, like, some of them, these people are, like, from different companies entirely. And they're like, I was a CEO in this company, now I'm a CEO in this company. You made me a CEO! But it's clear that you did not research your product you're selling now. Like, what are these companies, like, a guy went from a soap company to a game company, and he thinks that you can sell games like soap. Huh? Are you crazy? Do you need to talk to someone?
With maximizing profits right now with zero concern to what it does to their industry, to their employees, or their customers. They're just draining value out of everything they touch, giving us less, charging us more, and pretending like it's innovation. I look at what's happening with AI right now, and I think it's complicated. I'm a supporter of it. I think that most of the outrage around AI is just social media virtue signaling. Hating AI is just a trendy stance to take right now, while most of these people are probably using it themselves. You can see people also online.
I'll read it after Monkey.
Saying it's never going to get better. It'll never do this better than a human. It'll never replace that, as if that argument hasn't been recycled for every major technological leap in history. But damn, man, it feels like every single company on Earth is overcommitting way too early. They're firing staff, gutting departments, tanking the quality of their products in some cases, all for short-term savings from a technology that is still in its infancy. And that's not AI being the problem. It's the people that are using it and why they are. It's the obsession with cost-cutting, the blindness to the long-term impact, the complete disregard for the human side of this equation. They're not thinking about how these decisions...
To undo this mindset would be hard. Very, very hard.
Doctor, that's not... Pokemon is not at that point. It's very clear from how their game has already fallen off a cliff in terms of sales in the second week. I literally just said that. They think they're at that point where they can just slap it on there, but they're not. Like, if only nostalgia is carrying you. Progress is being made, but it's not enough. Like I said, I highly doubt the next Pokemon sells even...
To be honest, who doesn't know about Pokemon as a franchise?
Well, they know about it. But, like, a lot of people are less interested now. Especially because of a game like this.
Fewer jobs mean fewer customers, and that the faster that they automate, the faster they strangle the very market that they depend on by outpacing the demand of their customers. These are people who, frankly, won't even be around to see the damage that they're causing. They're going to cash out, they're going to retire, they're going to leave behind this hollowed-out landscape where nothing's going to grow. It's just greed without direction, a final sprint towards...
That's because of Pokemon, how Pokemon worked before now, that everyone knows about it. It's that big now because of how they worked up to it. And now, a lot of these people that were interested in going into Pokemon are disappointed and will never come back.
An end that they're never going to
live with. This is their image of what Pokemon is.
And disgusting to me. Look, this is not some anti-capitalism speech. It's just bad business in my eyes. You can't keep gutting out the...
You're not wrong, Boca, but you're also underestimating how much the royalties and merch outpace the games. Remember the Garfield video? Well, I'm not discounting that. Like, the cards are gonna make money basically just because of scalpers. Card games are always popular. But the game will not. It'll get to a point where the
But
game
now
is a
people learn
loss
about
leader.
it in a bad light, so new arrivals will just spread word of poor quality.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Shizu. The new arrivals see it as bad, and we'll just tell everyone afterwards that, oh, no, that game's crap. It's just a slop game. So you will not get new people. You're adding in an... I've talked about this before with games. Your whole process when you're marketing the game is you want your game to have more positives than negative contributors. You've just added 3 negative contributors to your Pokemon franchise. The image that your game is slop. Like, you're not even trying anymore. Subtraction to player base. Because
Hear
you...
me out. Old 8-bit Pokemon look better than the
Oh
newest
yeah,
one.
definitely. It did. That's why I play the old 8-bit ones a lot. I said the second one, which is you've cut off new players basically because you're not even appealing to them at all. And then third, like the big nail in the coffin, you've added in a minimum viable product syndrome.
Patent on grass.
So basically, those 3 negatives have been added to the negatives you already had, which were like very little, what's the word called? Where you try new stuff. Innovation. Very little innovation. People already knew about that. Like, I was hoping you'd try to get rid of that one, but there's also, kind of a kid game, or a game for gooners, because it's kind of become that.
Painted on grass.
Painted on grass. And then, like, the other negatives were, like, notoriously not nice to your fans. And stuff like that. Like, some of them were, like, the company as a whole negatives. But you have so little positives now, because you've taken away some of your positives and replaced them with negatives. Like, you can't even have pretty game as one of your positives anymore, because this looks like crap. Like, I need to, like, make a little pie chart to show y'all what I mean. Not a pie chart, but a chart that shows you what I mean by, like, positives versus negatives of a game.
Soul of your franchises and your products and expect people to stick around forever. In the short term, players are going to adapt. They're going to move on. They're going to find...
Trust me, I'm really good at this. Like, I impress some marketing teachers, and they're like, why are you not in marketing? And I'm like, I don't feel like I'll learn that much. And they were like, well, I can't argue with you in that. Because they've seen, like, some of my, like, ideas and my charts and stuff that I made while I was in college.
Collecting items in games. GTA 6 will contain a lot of ice slop, it feels like.
It will. It will be crap. It absolutely will be crap. And I will laugh if they try to do the sell at $100 thing. So many, like, what seem to be decent marketers are like, you don't want to do this. If you just sell at 60 or even 70, you will make so much money. But if you push it up to 100, you will be, like, kicking out people from your hemisphere.
And everyone will just go to Ananta if that game turns out to be legit.
And other
It does
studios
look
to
like it
support,
is.
But in the long term, these companies are going to be left with absolutely nothing. No goodwill, no audience, no talent left to build the future. Just emptied out brands and burned out employees. 32 years old. That is not a good number, my friends. Not for a company and not for a franchise that requires both its TV show and its games to continue to push the rest of its merchandise. That's the reason why Pokemon has been so powerful
$100
as a
initial
brand
plus
and why
3
they made so
DLC for $35. Battle Pass and Shark Cards 2x price.
I will laugh if they try that, because it will fail.
much money and why it's been so big for so many years. And it's because it's this monster of industry. It's this carousel of content that just keeps feeding right back into itself. But if one of those gears stops spinning,
I did.
frozen in time, well, then the entire thing starts to break down.
No one's
and
gonna buy it.
Stops working. And I
Well,
think
there
that's
might be some
probably
people
what's
that
going to end up happening to Pokemon if they don't get themselves back on track and start actually making products of good quality, making games of good quality, because you're basically ruining your entire onboarding system. And it's been that way for a long time for these guys, since 2017 or probably even before that. I find it hilarious that Nintendo came out with Mario Kart World saying that game was $80 because of variable pricing, and that they were going to be pricing these games based off the cost to make them and the experience that they deliver to the player. So tell me, where is that variable pricing in a game?
You spent less money on this game than you did the last game. It should be less money to buy than the last game. Last game was 60. This game should be 40.
Game that
Honestly, 20.
only cost you $20 million or less than $20 million to make, and it treats the players like it's Attack on Titan, shoving them behind the wall of Maria. It just goes to prove it's all a lie. I'm so sick of this. This is the whole reason I make videos like this. The whole reason why I talk about a lot of these issues is because none of the things that these companies are saying is real. And somebody has to be out there calling them out on their bullshit. Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're just blatantly lying to people. They keep trying to feed you slop and treat it like it's filet mignon. And every single time one of these games come out, and when they cut out content, or when the game doesn't work, or when the game fails, they have this long list of excuses. And none of it's true. It's all just corporate parcel tongue meant to gas.
This is one of those moments where I think back to Papa when I was younger. Excuses are excuses. Show me action.
Like you into believing like they actually care when they very clearly do not. You know, I've seen people trying to make videos essentially trying to send a message to the fans, trying to talk about the constant back and forth between the people that are criticizing the game and the people that are defending the game. And my best advice to that kind of stuff is just don't even do it. It's just not worth it, because in a lot of cases, people do not want somebody else to tell them how to spend their money, or that a decision that they made or a purchase that they made was a bad one. Because at the end of the day, we all do the exact same thing. I'm included in this conversation. We all make purchases against our best interests. We all buy things that just make absolutely no sense, and from companies that
I would agree with that 100%.
we should definitely not be supporting, because we just want something. And sometimes when you want something, that's just going to be enough. And there are enough people, at least 32 and up, that really want Pokemon, and they're going to
They really want
Looking at
Pokemon.
you, Hoyoverse.
keep buying it. So the only thing that you can do is just put your opinion out there and hope somebody listens to it. That's what I
Basically.
do. I think that for Pokemon, it's only a matter of time. You can only keep doing this for so long. And they've
That's
been
what
doing
I'm
it for a
saying.
while
I
now,
don't
and
think it's
only
going to
been
do well
getting
next
worse, and
time.
They're not alone in it, and I think it's not going to be good. Anyway, hope
This
you guys
has been
enjoyed.
controversy
If you guys did
after
enjoy the video,
controversy.
like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Usually I try to post my videos Tuesdays and Fridays. There's been some stuff going on in the background lately. It's made it a little bit difficult for that. So I'll clear some of that stuff up pretty soon here, hopefully. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Bye! Family, family, family. But yeah, like I said, legendary drops. It'll be in the reaction videos. Hopefully. Malcolm's already beat me to it. But yeah, it's terrible.